Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our amazing virtual conversation about immersive storytelling, powered by Better Youth, the Los Angeles Film School, and of course, Skydance. I'm Jonathan Jennings, and I'm a software engineer and interactive experience designer with over 10 years of experience in professional software development, games, and virtual, augmented, and mixed reality spaces. How's everybody doing this afternoon and evening? Please let us know where you're from, where you're watching from in the chats. Before we get started, I'd also love to give a big warm welcome to our global public audience who are watching us right now on YouTube Live. Thank you again for tuning in. I also want to give a shout out and thank you to our partners at Better Youth. Better Youth is an organization that validates young people by developing life skills through mentoring and media art training, specifically on foster, former foster, homeless, low-income youth, and please give a round of applause for Better Youth. We also want to give a huge shout out to Skydance Media, who work closely with Better Youth. Through their focus on hands-on mentorships, these awesome organizations are focused on the collective impact of helping to diversify the entertainment and tech industries. As we wait for people trickling in, and for those who are now joining us, let me remind you that if you have any questions throughout the event, please put them in the chat and we'll try to get to them at the end. This is a roundtable discussion, so although I will be moderating, our panelists are encouraged to ask questions of each other as well, so we can keep this an organic conversation. I'll be checking the chats periodically to see what the audience has to say as well. All right. Without further ado, let's meet our awesome group. So our first panelist today is Kiori Garcia. Kiori Garcia is a creative visionary pursuing content creation. Whether it be in videos, art, or writing, he continuously pushes himself to be better with every project he chooses to do. Kiori enjoys making videos where he is a one-man army in writing scripts, gathering footage, and editing. He hopes to spread his creative vision in all his works and in hopes to eventually inspire the many. Kiori wants to be top of his field, or at the very least, extremely skilled in it. Through his obsession to just be better at what he does, he's crafted the willingness to learn and the resolve to push the envelope further than it's ever been pushed before. He's getting it done while still having fun. Please help me welcome Kiori. Our second panelist today is Tyree Shaw. Tyree Shaw is an aspiring creative with a service heart and a love for gaming. He is also a second-year student pursuing a Bachelor's of Science degree in Interaction Design at Santa Monica College. Tyree, better known as TJ, is an alumni and second-year interactive gaming intern for Aim and Inspire, a 30-week intensive media arts mentoring program at Better Youth in partnership with Skydance Media. He is passionate about accessibility and ease of use for creatives and provides empathetic support to empower the creative vision of anyone he's helping. He's currently co-designing the new Better Youth website and working on his own passion projects in the little free time he has left. TJ enjoys watching anime, drawing, playing video games, reading comics, and creating music. Everyone, please help me welcome Tyree. Our last panelist for today is Alton Glass. Alton Glass of GRX Immersive Labs is a visionary entrepreneur who leads a team of new media gurus who are tackling contemporary issues through immersive storytelling. Glass is an Unreal Engine Virtual Production Fellowship alumni and is the co-creator of Time Magazine's The March. The March is an immersive installation based on the 1963 March on Washington, featuring Martin Luther King's iconic I Have a Dream speech. His latest project, POV, Points of View, is a sci-fi VR series that explores the impact of implicit bias on artificial intelligence and law enforcement practices. Please give it up for Alton. Yeah, and so before we jump in, we want to make sure that everyone's got comfortable energy. We want to make sure the good vibes are flowing. So, what better way to do that than to kick it off with an icebreaker? Are you all ready? All right. So type your answers in the chat as well, and we'll listen to our panelists deliver their answers too. All right. Our first question: if you could design any virtual environment in any space and time, what would you design? It could be a virtual concert, a reenactment, a hologram of Tupac performing, a metaverse mansion, a game, or what have you. And so, anybody want to go first?
That's a really good question. For me, I always sort of love to explore history. I like to go back to when they built the pyramids in Egypt, things like that, and really check out the hieroglyphics and all the cool stuff, and just history. You know how they built the the whole kingdom over there.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to see how they push those big blocks, right? uh, Tyree, Kiori.
Yeah, I guess I can go next. I guess my idea would be closer to I don't know if people seen Ready Player One, but their whole world seems very cool. You know, going in and out of games and being the character that you really want, and yeah, I think that's really cool. So that's the closest thing I could think. I don't know really to say that. Just close things like metaverse, but yeah, an environment like that is dope. So
I'd have to agree with Tyree because Ready Player One, that environment is super cool. I guess it just like harkens back to VR chat where you can literally just design anything and be anyone and go to like, let's just say I want to go to Gotham or I want to go to like, I don't know, the Avengers campus. It's I'd probably just want stuff like that, just some place to hang out, or not even just hang out, just like explore worlds. The creativity is limitless. If I can just come up with an idea and then create it in VR chat or in VR, just the VR space in general, and just be able to like just go into it, that'd be super cool. But that's just me.
I think that's dope. I'd love to see it too. Very cool. Those are fantastic answers. Yeah, all three of you. Very cool. And so I guess for our next icebreaker, we're gonna complete the sentence. And so in our first question, we want you to highlight your community, the people you represent, the voices you fight for. So please complete the sentence. I represent for, and then whoever wants to go first, just tell us who you represent for.
Ooh, I represent for you mean people like now, or what do you, when you say I represent for?
I mean, for now, forever, right? For tomorrow, right?
Okay, well, for me, I represent for my ancestors to make sure that I, do my best for the things they've done for me and everybody before me. So, and pay it forward to the next generation.
Very dope. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess I would say I represent my family, and I represent the things that I love and hold close. So, uh, I mean, I won't go into all the examples, but just everything into that. I guess I represent.
Very cool. Any thoughts, Kiara?
My bad, sorry, my connection is kind of dipping in and out. But I would like to say I would represent people like me, kind of like the people who kind of just don't know what they're doing in the world, and but they have like these skills and they have these ideas where they like I have all these skills, I can just grind towards it.
I get it, right?
Can't
Yeah, it's
go anywhere in the have. I own it with one, like pretty much.
for sure, right? Yeah, taking it one day at a time and figuring it out along the way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate like getting to know you all a little bit, like figuring out what interests you, what kind of spaces you want to create, figuring out who you fight for, right? Who you speak for, who you're doing it all for. And so it's great to hear that. And that's fantastic. And so I guess let's get into the actual panel discussion. So we've all heard about virtual reality, augmented reality, and a little bit more recently, the rise of Web3. And so I want to hear from all of you, how would you define it? How would you define, virtual reality, augmented reality, and Web3?
I guess I would say I would. This is how I make it simplest in my head to grasp it for virtual reality and augmented reality. I would say virtual reality for me is like us going into games and into the virtual space, trying to get, our brains and everything into that. So that's virtual, and having fun in that area that's not real. And then augmented is us bringing the games into our world the best way we can. So that's how I deconstruct augmented and virtual reality.
For sure.
So yeah.
Very cool. And I guess that second example, probably Pokemon Go is a great example of kind of doing that, right? For sure.
Yeah,
Awesome.
The Google glasses they're making, so it's like those things are like AR. So yeah.
Awesome.
Then, Web3 is very new. I'm still trying to fully grasp it myself, but I guess I would say the best thing I know about is like ownership, right? Of just things on the internet, the next level of the internet. So yeah, it's interesting. So that's my best definition.
For sure. Any additions? Do you guys want to add on to that or expand?
Yeah, I would say all three of them, in a sense, represent sort of a spatialized web where you can now come into this digital space, whether it's your avatar, whether you're around the world, in the world, it's spatialized, and you have now a means of creating ownership, like he was saying, and having something that's supposed to be decentralized in a sense where it's no longer about just one company owning everything, but everyone has an opportunity for creative entrepreneurship to take ownership in this new digital space.
Absolutely. And anything you'd like to add to either of those, Kiari?
I would probably just add on those single word possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Kiori. I think you broke up a little bit there.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I just said I would add on possibilities. The lines between reality and virtual reality.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it sounds like what Kiori is trying to say is just the possibility and kind of the way extended realities kind of expand on our current reality spaces. And no, I think that's a great point. Yeah, possibilities is a great word. Oh.
You guys
Awesome. Okay. I think we're gonna let Kiori work through the technical issues a little bit, but I think I guess to continue the conversation, when we think of immersive experiences and storytelling, the first thing that comes to mind for me are a few episodes of Black Mirror. If you guys have watched it all, love that show. San Junipero, Bandersnatch, and Playtest are a few episodes that me and others love, especially, of course, examples of games such as Pokemon Go, films like Ready Player One or Tron, Avatar even. And while all these projects depict AR and VR to some extent, and to a wider idea of Web3 elements, we're starting to see these things happen in real life, right? Really kind of seeing this merge of reality and technology that you see depicted in media. And so I'd like to know, what do you think are the perfect elements, aspects, and qualities of an immersive storytelling experience? Like what are the important factors that that make or break an immersive experience to you all?
An important factors. Oh, I mean, you look at it a couple of ways, right? You have the experience that connects to you personally. I think that's very important because of the work you have to do to get into an immersive experience. I have to want to do the work to do that, to get into it. So something meaningful. And then the interaction, the overall experience, what is the user experience design like? How are you thinking about, maximizing my senses? Are you using sound and immersive sound in a great way? Are you using space in a great way? How are you using interactivity? How am I able to immerse myself and get lost in this experience and then come out and say, this is very, very impactful, or just super exciting, you know what I mean? So I think those are some of the main components for me, in a sense. And how you get me to the experience. I want to be excited before I even start it too. I think we forget about the story before the story and the story after the story. So those are components that I think are very important.
Absolutely. Would you anything to add on to that, TJ?
He kind of said it Alton, he basically said it, the elements, I think it's, story, obviously it's main, but the little details that is often missed. Music is underestimated a lot, the sound, just in the world. When you put on headphones, can you get lost, or do you just get bored? Do you turn on music, your own music, or do you actually listen to what's going on in that environment? If you do, that's how you know you're lost. If you're not really paying attention, then you're not really that immersed sometimes.
Right.
But and it depends on your engagement, like he said. So yeah, that's what I got to add.
No, that's perfect. And I think, I guess, talking about audio, the importance of spatialized audio, I'd love to hear more, Alton, about your game-changing project, Time Magazine's The March. And I guess, Sam, can we play a clip?
So The March is an immersive installation, like stepping into a Time magazine cover of the 1963 March on Washington and experience up close and personal with Dr. King in virtual reality, like you've never seen before.
We thought, imagine being able to stand in front of Martin Luther King while he delivers this speech.
Now is the time.
Of being in close proximity to history. That's where we began our journey. Right now, there is nothing like this in VR. The pinnacle of the challenges is the creation of Dr. King.
To have it feel like you are truly looking into another human being's soul is very, very difficult.
But I really wanted to try to push that boundary and make a big jump in the industry towards realism with virtual humans.
To create a new blend of technology that allows us to do something that is as real as our digital humans for feature films in real time as well for things like VR.
And I think it's going to touch a lot of people out there in the country. And that's the intention.
And molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside.
The really detailed and nuanced work equates to this experience that is very singular and new in terms of a viewer's understanding of what that speech was.
Seeing him and hearing him was so overwhelming of an experience that I want you to feel the journey that he took and everyone else he inspired to take, and then walk away knowing how powerful you are as an individual. You can continue to march on and carry this torch and this responsibility to make a difference in the world.
That is extremely impressive, Alton. I think there's so many things going on there from, I imagine there had to be a lot of spatialized audio going on there, the virtual production work, and kind of, I got some meta-human senses, like just really, it sounds like a real confluence of technologies. And I'm just super curious, how did that opportunity come up?
How it came up. I got a call basically from, I believe it was from Time and a couple of producers. And they said, hey, your name was on a list for directors and creators for this project. And we'd like you to meet with you and talk to you about the projects if you're interested. And we'd love to hear your feedback on, what you do with this project. So, as a artist, you typically give what they call a pitch, and you present, your take on the material. And I presented my take on the material, how I wanted to approach it. They liked it, and they said, hey, we'd love to work with you. The great thing was I had been referred by more than one person to the opportunity. So that just really, made me realize how important it is when you are working in the industry to make sure that, you keep your relationships, your name, in a good place. So that's how that opportunity came about, and that's how it got kicked off.
That's awesome. And I guess I'm curious, right? Like, dealing with such an important historical, right, like kind of experience, I guess, was there like a lot of homework you had to do to research like the event and like understand where Dr. King was at that time and just really get into the space, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about on a project that had this concept called the 9-word problem, which is Black history in schools is typically taught in 9 words. And they said it was Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream, Rosa Parks. Mm-hmm. And the goal was to get beyond just the traditional Black History Month, traditional, information. And I was very eager to learn more about Martin Luther King himself, and not only just Martin Luther King, the people surrounding that movement. So it took a lot of research on my own time. And then Time, being a magazine that's really all about journalistic approach and truth, they had a lot of research that had been put into it prior to me. And I just had to, live with a lot of that information and learn it. And I learned so many amazing things that I didn't know. That was very, very enriching experience. And a good friend of mine, named Amanda Shelby, a producer, she gave me some quotes that Dr. King had. And I just kind of sat with those. And I was like, wow, you know what, if I can sort of take one of those quotes and build that into the theme of the project. And that theme was Dr. King had a quote, don't quote me too much on this one, but it was something like, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only light can do that. And that was sort of like the concept behind what I want to explore in the piece. Interactive, through interactivity, light and movement, and sort of the symbolism for everyone having their own light to spark change. And So it was a combination of research and just, bring your creativity to that research.
Very cool. Fantastic. And I get last question. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who would be curious to know where they could find the experience. I guess where can we find the experience, or is there a way we can experience it?
It's currently in museums. Right now, it's in Chicago, the Solid Museum, and then the plan is for it to go to other museums. So it's a full exhibition. It's actual experience, like like when you go to a museum. VR just one part of the full exhibit.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I guess to give you an idea. So kind of what we talked about an experience. So the first part of it is sound, only sound, where you sit in this spatial audio volume, and you sit next to individuals, kind of like you on the bus back in the days. And we interviewed several, individuals from that period of time. And we built this really amazing audio experience. Like you feel like you're on the bus during the Freedom Campaign. And then at the end of that, Viola Davis comes on and she says, now you know what we fought for, what we were fighting for. Now let me take you to where things move when we progress to the March on Washington. And then you walk in there and then they greet you and they put you in the headsets and say, now it's time to travel back in time and see what we fought for. And then when you come out, you see these beautiful footage of the actual real march. And then you see all these marches that came afterwards. And then you meet an AI activist, an activist that was captured through artificial intelligence named Joyce Ladner. And you can ask her questions about things that she did during the movement. So it's a full-on experience in VR and non-VR.
That's impressive. Wow. Very cool. Well, yeah, I might have to get a ticket to Chicago. That sounds amazing. Or I guess wait till it comes to a museum nearby. Very cool. Very cool. And so I guess to pivot a little bit, we want to talk about the techniques or technologies that can help create a more immersive experience. So just in case anybody else has interest in creating their own immersive type experiences. And so for students who are watching now, what are the most exciting new developments and software that's currently in use in the industry? Yeah, and I guess, is there any of this that you would suggest that they research or explore? And this is to the panel, yeah.
Yeah, like I would say game engine tools like Unreal Engine, Unity. That's actually how we met Jonathan. Unity, yeah, those are really great tools for creatives. Unreal Engine is free, and you can start to create. I mean, even Roblox has a creators program too, where you can learn their language and build things, to create things, your own marketplace items. It's a great avenue for content creation and creative entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
And to become a world builder. Just build what you want to build, like Huey was saying. Just tap into your imagination and just start creating.
Very cool. Yeah. And would you have anything to add to that, TJ? Any creative tools you'd recommend if somebody was interested in building in this space?
I would say along like what he said, Roblox, Fortnite. I know it's coming out with a creative 2.0. That's supposed to be big. I'm curious on how that's going to be. And I know Blender. I know that's more of a 3D modeling, but I think Blender is real cool too to hop in. I've been hopping in that too. So.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. And then I guess, what would you say are some of the potential barriers to beginning to use these technologies and beginning to build with them? Like, are there any kind of roadblocks you tend to see with people who are embracing these technologies for the first time?
I would say a lot of times, from a technical standpoint, it might be internet that sometimes can be a little tough. Sometimes it might be your computer, certain projects, certain software can be a little processor or GPU intensive, so you might have to be mindful of what you're building, what you want to start learning to build with, to make sure that you have the right compatibility for the tool that you're using. But I would say outside of that, the only other challenge I think sometimes is when you get into these tools, you think you got to know everything. So it can get a little overwhelming. So I think the best thing to do is lean into your own unique talents, and then use those tools to serve your talent. And then you build around that from there. Like Unreal Engine is a very vast tool, but I like camera. So I studied making the best camera shots in Unreal Engine, and I can make it fire, right? I like lighting. So I'll go in there and so there's certain tools I'll lean into, but I might not be a person that might do, visual scripting, you know what I mean?
Right.
But somebody else might like world building, so they can build great environments. So just lean into your skill sets first, and don't let it overwhelm you, because I think that's a lot of times the biggest challenge and hurdles is getting overwhelmed by the technology.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I guess TJ and Kiori, do you have any feelings on that?
I mean, I would agree. Like a lot of times when people, even myself, go into these softwares the first time, you feel like there's just so much. And another thing is knowing what to start on and start with. You go to YouTube and there's so many guides and all this, and YouTube is a great place, but sometimes you get lost into just where to start and what to do. So I think up there sometimes it's finding a great place to start, or finding a teacher to teach you. So
okay, that's amazing.
I feel like what TJ and Alton just said is perfect. It's all about finding like a place to start, because what he just said, there's like so many resources online nowadays. Like anyone, you can learn anything at this point. And I feel like what's important is just starting with what you know, and then seeing what connects to what you know, and then going from there is really important. Like I'm an editor, I make video editings, but like I realized that I can make like whole 3D spaces in my editor. And I've been doing that, and it's been a blast to work with. And I feel like just doing stuff like that, and just having the willingness to learn in the first place, like the willingness to want to be better at what you do, and also the resolve, like the self-awareness to say like, oh, I'm not good at this, and I got to get better at that. It's okay to say something you made was trash. I feel like a lot of people forget that. You can say it was trash, but it's just like, if you stay like and do nothing about it, like you acknowledge it's trash and you do nothing about it, you just quit. Like that's a different thing. You gotta say something's trash and then want to get better. Like where did I fail? Where am I lacking behind here? It's that mentality that will help you go far in a lot of things. And I think people should genuinely like adopt that more.
Absolutely, that's dope. Absolutely, I totally agree. And so I guess kind of the last question on this particular topic would be what about working specifically in Web3 or AR and VR are kind of universal skill sets, right? Are there any like things that someone who just wants to work in space period should know? And if there are like universal skill sets, then what would they be?
Repeat that one again about universal skill sets.
Yeah. It's more of a question of like what are universal skill sets students who are interested in the AR, VR, or Web3 space probably should embrace, right? Are there any kind of universal tools or skills that they should definitely embrace?
Yeah, I mean, from a foundational perspective, I mean, if you like coding, C++, C#, Python, those are going to be, some that I know that are used in the game engines like Unreal and Unity. I would say, writing, it's always going to, help you do well, and design. And then user experience, I think, is very important. User experience design, because, kind of what we talked about earlier, like you got to design a great experience before you create it, So if you understand that part, and then, if you're interested in art, you can become an art director and learn how you build those things to convey your vision, or that person that you're collaborating with vision. I think those are going to be really key. And then, you got the business side too, that's always a great one, learning it from a high level, and then being able to produce that content is going to be really, really critical too. So numbers, and developing skills to know how to collaborate and communicate. It's going to be really big.
Absolutely. Kiara, TJ, anything to add to that?
No, I don't.
For sure.
have nothing crazy to add. So
for sure,
I
absolutely.
disagree. I just agree.
Okay, absolutely. Oh,
Me neither. Nothing crazy to add to. He kind of touched on the points.
okay, absolutely. And I guess before we kind of get into the next round of questions, I think you made a great point about usability and kind of different tools, Alton. And I think one area that gets really overlooked kind of in the AR, VR, XR space is that of virtual production. And so I think you provided us with a really great video clip, and this is probably a good time to kind of show what virtual production looks like and how it's been used in existing films. So Sam, could you play the virtual production clip?
VR is actually giving us the experience of being in the set. So basically you put on VR, you go to Africa, you're in Africa, and you're on the plains of Africa, and you have animated characters that walk through there. And the way you would on a regular movie, you say, well, to see what I want to see, I want to be here, and then if I dolly over here, when they walk over there, I'll be on their faces so I can see them looking out over the savannah. And so you say, okay, let's lay a dolly track from here to there, and then you then take the VR headset off and you go and you have a monitor that is what the camera would see. And you say, okay, let's try this, and the dolly grip goes, and I'll go a little bit faster because I missed seeing him turn his head or whatever it is, and then so you're really making it as if you're making a regular movie. So this is all great in the beginning, and I don't mind moving. It's nice when he starts to sing to be on Iman. That's really great. And this is all okay. This is great because you got both of them. I got through some veggies there. Now here's the problem. Yeah. Because this is his solo, so you really want to be around here and get him on this. Yeah. So you want to be. Now you're good. Now you're good. That's fine.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I just love seeing all of the virtual production work and kind of seeing that merging between like games technology and classic film production, and it's amazing. It's a really exciting space that I think that a lot more people should explore for sure. And so now we want to talk a little bit about social responsibility in the future, right? We have this kind of new paradigm for technology where basically either letting our technology envelop us, or we're bringing our technology into our real world, right? And so one thing we know is that a good, compelling story is always the core of an immersive experience. But do you think, I guess when it comes to like an immersive story, do you think that the technology is what drives storytelling and kind of the evolution of storytelling? Or do you think that it's the nature of the story that kind of drives technology? And I guess in the sense of virtual production, right, do these virtual production tools drive the way we kind of tell these stories and render them, or are these stories so unique that we need virtual production to bring them alive?
Yeah, so that's a good question. If you go back to, just historically film in general, right? All of that came out of the need to just tell a story in a different way. So I think that the storytelling is always going to be the idea, the creativity is always going to drive the technology versus the other way around. And you can tell when you see something made just specifically for the technology, it just doesn't translate as well, right? So, and when you look at companies like Star Wars, Lucasfilms, or their company Industrial Light and Magic, the different things that they pioneered came out of them saying, we want to do this. How can we do this? Or we have to create this to do this, right? And that kind of, like I was talking to someone about pre-visualization, and they were saying back then, in order to visualize a story, they used like different stick figures and things like that. And they were like, wow, we want to be able to see these shots. How can we do this with 3D graphics? And that's when pre-visualization became a thing. And then you started seeing these new technologies evolve. Even Adobe Premiere, it was talking about how engineers and different people came out of these different companies to develop these software tools for the purpose of driving more creativity that they wanted to create. So I think, storytelling is always going to drive the future, just like the concept of the metaverse. That came in a story first, right? It wasn't a technology first. So storytelling is now making the metaverse come to life for people to create technologies for the metaverse to be a real thing.
Absolutely. Anything to add?
I agree. Story prevails all the time. I'm just gonna give another example of like when story actually helped make the technology. I know Avatar, they didn't have the technology they wanted for them to tell their story, so they decided to wait and build the technology to fully tell the story that they want to. So I fully agree that story first, technology second, and you can tell that there's something missing when it's just, oh, we can make something with this technology, let's just make it. It's cool, but I feel like you can always feel something missing in that. So
absolutely, very cool. And anything you would add to that, Kiori?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I feel like there's an argument to be made for both sides, but ultimately I'm going to fall upon story because story is important. I believe that no matter how bad something is, a good story can bring it back. I literally, I'm so invested in story. Like I literally the past 2 days, I've been just like staying up all night writing an outline for a project I was doing. Like story is just so important, and a lot of people forget that. And of course you can build things off of story, like you guys have been bringing up. People have created technology for the sake of telling a unique story. Like things need to be created for the sake of the story. And honestly, that's cool. Like if I'm just gonna be honest, that's pretty cool. And you guys pretty much said what I was gonna say anyway. Like story's great.
For sure. Absolutely. And so more in the kind of the social responsibility aspect, do you think there's a social responsibility to uphold when it comes to creating and designing AR and VR projects? And I guess kind of a more recent, maybe metaverse experience is probably the Avatar rapper FN Mecca, which I don't know if you guys have heard in the news, that was a little messy. But I guess when it comes to creating these kind of new experiences and these new kind of technical expressions, do you believe that there's a social responsibility to do it responsibly?
In what way do you mean? Like,
right. I guess just as human beings, right, constantly pushing for progress and evolution, right, and really evolving tech trends, right? Do we owe the people that our content affects? Like, do we owe them a certain level of empathy or social responsibility. It's our job as creators to be responsible for, I guess, what our work outputs, right? Do you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely. I mean, storytelling can definitely influence and shape the world in so many ways, and it can influence amazing things. It can influence things that could be detrimental or harmful. So all the way to propaganda and things like that. The narrative is very powerful. So I definitely agree. There is a certain responsibility that you do carry as a storyteller. Now, it's okay to have fun, and tell fun stories, but you do have to be mindful of the people that you might, influence in a way, to make sure they understand that this is just a film. If you're going to go on the darker side, or certain things, because it can be, some people have minds that can be shaped very quickly.
Absolutely. Any additional thoughts?
Just I guess it's just like an ethical question. When is it past? When did you pass the line? When did you go too far? I think, like you said, the virtual rapper, like people felt like he went too far, so there was action that went after that. So, and these social okays has always been it's not just VR and AR, in gaming, like Call of Duty. I forgot which one, but a mission, it was called No Russian. That was big at that time, and so those things you have to just worry about, because that could have, some people felt like that went across the line with what happened in there. So I think there is a responsibility what you put out at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And any final thoughts on that, Kiara?
Yeah, I have to agree. There is a lot of social responsibility. Like, great power comes great responsibility. We all heard it. When you're creating these worlds, especially with like certain companies, like these big gaming companies that have like a lot of fan bases, they have a lot of influence. Like some minds are easily be able to shape, and they kind of have to, watch themselves and just make sure they don't cross any lines. But then again, there's also like the idea of common sense. We got to be able to like separate fact from fiction. Like, you see a fantasy story where it's all dark and gritty and main character might be like bad or anything, but it's fake. It's like not real. So, but at the same time, you have to be tasteful. It's got to pay attention to who you're marketing to as well. That's a very big part of it. But that's what I have to add.
Okay. Absolutely. That makes total sense. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's important to always kind of reiterate that we understand that our work influences people, right? And I think it's always important to kind of come back to realize what we are putting out has an effect on people, and sometimes the effects are unintended. Absolutely. And then, so we're getting pretty close to wrapping up. And so I guess we're going to start to end this. We're going to do a similar exercise to what we did at the beginning. We're going to complete the sentence. And so our first sentence is immersive storytelling inspires me because, and then finish the thought. And so would anybody like to start? Immersive storytelling inspires me because.
That's a good one. And okay, well, I'll say this. Immersive storytelling inspires me because it allows me to realize that I can actually shift and change my reality. I can live out an immersive experience, within altering my reality of how I want things to be. And it doesn't have to just be, persistent. I can make changes. And that's what made me fall in love with immersive storytelling. It became more than a technology, became more of a philosophy for what virtual reality immersive storytelling was. How we can shift pixels in reality.
Immersive storytelling inspires me because it showed me there's a lot of still like good stories that are out there to still be told. Like it's always now in this day and age, everyone has a formula, especially like Hollywood or whatever, and these textbook games, they always have a formula. And the immersive storytelling is just new technology and just like the bare bones of the definition, just a story that immerses you. I'm glad there's a lot of people out there that are still focused on telling a good story. So I think that is great, honestly, because especially me, I want to be a good writer. I'm always looking for good shows that challenge like what's usually being told, and just being able to learn from these experiences, like these games, these good examples of shows. It's great. Immersive storytelling. It's such a great thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Man, this is a hard question, but I think it inspires me because it always shows that it's always an infinite possibility of creativity. Somebody else can think of something that you would never think of in a million years, and that can inspire you to make something else that's even more crazier. And so it inspires me because it shows me that it's always something more that creativity can make. And that's why I guess love it, and just amazing. It can inspire anybody and everybody to create. So yeah.
Absolutely. I like to call that like the creative snowball, right? Just kind of rolls up all the ideas and gets bigger and bigger. Awesome. And then well, in this, and so our second question is AR, VR, AR, VR, and Web3 will change the world by, and then again, finish the sentence. So yeah, AR, VR, and Web3 will change the world by, and complete the sentence.
I would say AR, VR, and Web3. You said Web3?
Yeah.
Will change the world by creating more access for opportunities for people around the world, globally to engage and create together and make money together.
Fair.
Yeah, I would say expand creativity, and yeah, I would say expand creativity and spread hopefully positivity, but that's it, I guess. Creativity, but yeah.
Okay. And
I'd say it would innovate, like push the future. Is a good example, I think, especially with augmented reality. I think in Minecraft, there's like this mod where you can put a schematic of a build and just build it. It's like a little hologram. You can build it. Just imagine that in real life. Where you put a schematic of something like you want to build, like a car or something, and the hologram is just there in front of you. You just put the pieces like Lego. Like that would be so cool. I feel like there's a lot of things that could be built, especially with virtual reality, since you're kind of already pushing towards that. Being able to create, like bring it back to the beginning, where we said like being able to create anything you want, like coming up with an idea of like this creative world, this fantasy world or something, and then just say, let me model that real quick, and I'm gonna stand inside of it. I'm gonna put on my VR headset, and I'm gonna go look around in this world I had this dream of this place, and just let me model it, and let me just go around in it. It's like it's like a lot of possibilities with both of those. I mean, Pokemon Go, and I think like even Five Nights at Freddy's had like an AR game. Like it's insane. there's a lot of things to be made out of it, and I'm glad more and more people are like seeing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this has been a fantastic discussion. I want to thank you all panelists, and we're going to open up to audience questions now. And so one of the questions that popped up earlier was, what do you think will be the dominant platform in 2 years?
So the dominant platform in 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
You mean like to use or to like create with? Like what type of
That's a good
platform
point.
are you talking about?
I think I guess to make sure we cover both bases, I guess, do you feel like both? Oh, I guess they said to use.
Oh, to use. I mean, like Instagram or like Unity?
Okay. Anything particular about those platforms that really calls to you that you think is going to make them outlast competition?
I mean, I think that, companies like Meta, they're putting about $10 billion into the metaverse. So they're definitely going to be able to leverage their 3 billion like users. And they definitely are going to be, adding things to Instagram, like NFTs, and then they're going to be building out more creative tools to create more commerce amongst their network. So who knows what they might create to be able to build experiences like they have Horizon Worlds in VR, but we don't know what that might extend into Instagram and to other platforms they own, Facebook, to become their true metaverse, where people can engage and make money together. But then you have Unreal Engine, they're on a race to building the metaverse too, and they've acquired a lot of companies over the past 2-3 years. And then you got Apple, who they are really believe AR is the future. So I think those are probably 3 definite platforms or companies to definitely look at. And then you got Microsoft. They just bought, was it Activision? Was it right? So
yes.
And then they've got, and then you got Sony, PlayStation VR. So I mean, I could go on about who's gonna sort of be the front runner, but if I had to predict, I would say Apple's probably the ones that sit back and let everybody else spend their money, and then they come through like, bam, I got you.
That sounds right. Any thoughts, CJ, Kiori?
I would say it's anybody's game right now. Like
that too.
I feel like just like in the social media area, like TikTok, I don't think anybody thought TikTok would become one of the biggest social media platforms. So in the gaming sphere, I feel like right now it's anybody's game.
Very good. That's a very good point. It could be somebody on this call that come out with the next hot platform. In the chat, you just never know.
Right.
Very good point.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
Okay, dope. Awesome. And so the next one would be from Brian. I'd like to be a sound designer for games. I've learned some C# for sound and started mixing in surround sound. And am familiar with Unreal Engine. Is immersive sound going to be the future? And what else should I be learning?
Oh yeah. Yeah, people, a good friend of mine always said, people see with their ears, and in immersive space, I mean, you got to have that. That's a big field. You got 3D sound, 2D or 4D sound. That's going to be a very big opportunity in that space to tap into. So I would definitely take a look at that.
Very cool. Anything to add to that, TJ, Kiori?
Yeah, I agree.
No, for sure.
I agree too.
Very cool. And then did we have any other questions?
Maybe you all can do an interview with Dolby Atmos. They have an amazing sound tool they're coming out with. Maybe get someone from there to learn about the opportunities in that space, because that's a big one. Sound is in everything, pretty much. You can't get by without sound. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but for the immersive experience, that's definitely going to be a great component.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. And so I think if that's the if that's the end of the questions, which it looks like it is, thank you everyone again. We appreciate your time, and this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you for being here and teaching us, inspiring us, educating us. This has been fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves as much as I did. And to everyone watching, if you like this event, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us, Better Youth and Skydance on social media. Please also check on your online calendar for other events just like this. Students, you can also check your weekly newsletter. And we've come to the end of this discussion. Thank you again to our panelists, and enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody.
Thank you.